Hello, 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 and welcome back. So we've had pretty much like a week of inactivity. That was due to pretty much like what was akin to exams for us. So I really couldn't do much. Yeah. Right now, but we're back though, and we're let me just pause the music for a moment. So right now we are doing some Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Uh, It has been a while since we played this. Probably like at least a few weeks. I wanted to pretty much like take a small break from it after finishing chapter one. But now we're back and we are gonna be doing more of it. Again, I could be wrong in that we're not going to Britain yet, but we could be in this chapter. I'm not sure. We're doing this completely blind, so yeah. So let me just pull up the game right here. Uh, Hang on, let me just. Hey, there we go. So we were supposed to start this around an hour earlier, but the problem was that the audio wasn't showing up for my Switch for some reason. So it took me an hour to like figure it out why. So load game and episode 2. No, I can see the silhouette. We are definitely going to Britain now. Which is good because now I can actually use the access I've been saving up for all this time. So I don't know why we're going to Britain because like again,
In a corner of that small, dark
I'll let them talk.
Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into
Holmes.
action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You'll see it, Wilson," he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. "I believe this is the terrible coil to which you referred." In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
January 6:37 a.m. on board the steamship Buria. The man himself, Sherlock Holmes.
Let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked-room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. and the letters are well formed, suggesting he was Compass Mentis at the time.
Again,
It's the most
it's weird because like
and evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
oh Sherlock.
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will...
Is this just a mini episode?
What?
Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. That mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Mikotova.
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world.
Sherlock Holmes. I refuse to acknowledge the chain's name.
Must have heard of me.
Oh, don't tell me this is Ryunosuke. For fuck's sake. Ugh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait. I can't move. Oh my god, don't tell me every case is gonna be us as a dependent. Why am I in handcuffs? So you wake up now, we had to drag you out of the wardrobe. Didn't realize I could do something. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. Da, we found you. And now you pay. Criminal. Here we go again. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you plan to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that? Oh, it's Mikotoba. Can't tell. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Mr. Sato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kasuma? Ha! You pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kasuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Oh, don't tell me this is a classic. We have to kill the mentor in at least one Ace Attorney game. Or, no wait, no, it's more like, in each Ace Attorney game, there always has to be the mentor killing. Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from inside. Bolted shut, yet pretty much like the lock was blunted or forced open from the inside. I already can see glaring errors. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kasuma's dead? But he can't be. These handcuffs. So you don't think Again, I swear, if it's gonna be like, every case we have to be the defendant, I'm done with this. I had to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? For fuck's sake, woman. You've seen us work together in the last case. Do you think we would actually kill each other? Answer me, please. Well, this is all fake. It's like, well, there is no blood. But then I beg that begs the question, why the fuck? No. Don't tell me this is like sort of like dream thing, right? That'd be more improbable. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? Oh, so that explains why we're in England in the first place. It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. Thought I was gonna die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. Whether you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Oh, right, steamships. It takes that long. I hope not. Get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're sturdy ones, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, she would. She would. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. Yeah, that always goes well. That always goes well indeed. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what. Why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. Again, this is all staged. I'm calling it right now. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at next fort. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. Da, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san? Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you too. Those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs, they're made of iron. They think I did it? They think I'm Kasuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a portal window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, out of the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kasuma? It's not like I killed him or anything. I hid the murder weapon away as well in that duct over there. Ah, dagnabbit, got me again, Susato. Oh, now that I notice it, yeah, they could have pretty much like got into the vent. I'm calling it now. But pretty much like, you know how these trials go. It's pretty much gonna end up like, it's gonna go like, all over the fucking place until we even address the vent. Presumably, that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please, whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day on his so far on this voyage. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and we managed to get inside. There was Kazuma-sama collapsed on the floor. And the white tape over there now serves exactly where it was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I told you everything that I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Ugh, my head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. You mean no food at all? How did you survive? I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, that would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. Yes, he asked you. But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? But don't you know, Rinosuke, I wanted this to be our secret date. It's an idea that has been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I ever seen it before. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on this ship, I mean. By no Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed. Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really, I do. But it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. For some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Kusada-san, you have to believe me. I didn't do it! Do you think I could actually have done it? Kazuma was stronger than me. He wields that sword and everything. I'm a lanky... twink. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this. Also, I'm pretty sure tape didn't exist back then. Why is it like this? Kazuma. I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And I'm supposed to just sit around? My hands tied while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Yeah. What the? That was a Susato takedown. Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. You suspect me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Sasada-san to believe me. I'll source some evidence right now to prove I'm not guilty of this crime. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes, it was. I remember clearly. I thought so, Cosmo always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there. Just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah! Yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before you opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. No one has common sense. God fucking damn. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Cosmo. I would say impossible. You need more evidence for that. Well, even if you ask Road Hope to see on the floor, I can see why Cosmo-san thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Really. Thanks. I needed that burn. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Hang on. Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you, so you finally believe me. I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does he think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you, to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Cannot. This is where dear Kazuma-san would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. Didn't even make it to his destination. Looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means, what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. Could be a valuable clue. Hiya! That's out the question. Well, Kazuma may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important, something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Damn it, woman. Can't believe your penis like your penis's great-great-grandmother. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Sato-san? When I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forgot to look around properly. Ah yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around using... Yes, I know how it works! 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 I It's on 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruto-san? You didn't bathe or anything or hygiene? You must be smelling. I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making displays in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. This is, yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Ah, yes, it's to ring for the servants. Butler! Butler, I have need of you. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interest of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. Bent. And again, it's enough to fit a person that's thin. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which pressure can circulate into the cabin. Is that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to, you're right. But if it disperses a lot of pressure into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are up or something like that. I suppose, maybe that's it. Link to the next door cabin, that means the culprit must have been from the next door cabin at least. That's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away in this special. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah, yes, I see it says this way up in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. The books have fallen over in the shelf, look. They've all towered the same way. And what's this, a statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked, and everything mown down at once. I wonder if perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps it was you, Naruto-san, in a pit of raids. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books in a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. These are the rules. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Beria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Oh gee, Kazuma. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure, either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Looks like a bell. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass has a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuke Pasane from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. Wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him. Would he? And the mark beside it, what is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It is a color brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. Did Kazuma write that before he died? Looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spirits. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. It's like the Leon thing in Danganronpa all over again. Ugh. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of clue in his final moments, was he? Or the fucking Emma in, like, you know, Rise from the Ashes case. Sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruto-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Hello, Shirley. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Is he gay or European? It's hard to guarantee. Is he gay or European? Oh, how did he... You noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. Naruto-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that man is? Well, no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. Doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. Is he investigating Cosmo's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Asada-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you noticed already, but just in case, if you press A on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Yeah, no, we're ignoring him. Move on. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that the Japanese magic katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring on it on his tip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go yet. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. But Kazuma-san didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right, so he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Seigi, the Japanese word for justice. The broad strokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so totally? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship. Now you're going to bring that up, are you? He can't feel guilty for it. Kazuma was the one who brought it up in the first place. He came up with the entire shebang. It's his fault. Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Very well. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point. This is a critical point in my investigation. Oh no, I don't have a perfect voice for like a truck. I didn't give it. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that will be for the best. Greetings! I haven't kept you long. Must make sure it's not Kazuma's voice. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? Feels like it's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything's clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, my dear. Hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? Well, of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madame. For example, you have pledged your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. Wrong again, Sherlock. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the very bold occupant of this cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I didn't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this, Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruto-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way Hiya! Well, might as well give her the Miss Piggy voice. Fuck it. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You're just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in the most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it. You see, what do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of the murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles. You see, I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. Thank you, Jinly, for the follow. Anyways, I don't think you've introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women all the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. So, it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes. Again, I refuse to acknowledge the name change. The very same. The inimitable, actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world, Naruhodo-san. Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? You must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. This is Ace Attorney. There's no room for logic, reasoning, or common sense. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? I can't, it's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't really remember it. Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. I see. You're German. Herlock? Was it a Sherlock? No, I have no her. I mean, I have a hair. I have a hair. Please, call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rants magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interesting articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you start to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detective achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer? Do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Watson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Watson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been piracy busy of late. Why, this very moment I'm returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of the cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in the subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of the muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in skin, all these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this big data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? Sushi, I have returned birth for observation and for deduction and fame. That is what makes me the only, one and only, Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in this most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Custom's Sound this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin doors open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for me, well, luckily for everyone, the great detective Sherlock Holmes was on board. Why, there won't be another great detective until it was like the 1930s when that little chap named that little Belgian named Poirot would hit the scene. Even so, I am still the best, clearly. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Najardo. Ugh. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, 2 packs were immediately apparent to me. Oh really? 2 packs, you say? Mr. Holmes, tell us, please. What 2 packs were apparent to you when you came to this cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The 2 packs in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number 1. The cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number 2. The victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Holmes, what do you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. No, I can't pronounce that. That is the Russian robe word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazasao could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe maybe the name of a killer, so then Robert Guard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least, where you found Mr. Haruto sleeping soundly. Quite so, I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people. They're not! And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim in the message, that I might analyze for it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma has already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I have seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime has been entered. Our first evidence for once. Can I ask you something, Mr. Holmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining the train of reasoning to me, do you think? Torso! Certainly if it interests you. How many times I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian? Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you conclude about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16th part. Ah, yes, the more sordid details, it was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik leaves Russia via Shanghai. Oh, I can see a man in his 50s can pass up as a high schooler. Yes, we quite solved this case, Holmes. Quite well. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Cinema was Kazuma Russian. It sounds like Mr. Holmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who had killed the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, villain Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. I'm going to strangle you! Ugh, please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims' assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all these particulars in the article. The deeds of the man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik. Oh, I get Bolshevik. Oh, god, that. Once it concluded, there can be no mistake. Do the listeners usually agree to interviews with these reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where he just said I was returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is to see returned from the period of subversive activities in the war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I observe all that is of interest to me with its pages. I see no rubbish bin nearby. And you may find the article on the back page an interest as well. On the back. Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian, I couldn't hope to read it. Suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article, maybe there might be a picture or two. Before we started talking, you were examining Cosmo's desk, weren't you? Cosma, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. Yes, he was writing something when it was happening. We see the victim was engaged in penning in some text. London diary, Cosmo was keeping notes of the trip. But I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic, and something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyways, return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear that the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray, be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, mikado, nado nado. I thought you were suitably impressed. But this diary is a bit complicated looking characters of which I can read precisely none. So was all this showing up before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Holmes. I must oblige, my dear madame. The final entry here in Cosmo's house diary consists of just two short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound that's coming from the vent. These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I had no idea. I never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at least? Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in this diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate, hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. But fine. Simple glance at your wrist would reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I had no recollection of naming you as a culprit at any point. Damn you, Sherlock. Be upfront for once. Stop beating around the bush. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Holmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. We did do it in chapter 1, we're not doing it now. Now it's just being plain rude. And up he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Nado-san, what are you standing there for? Must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... What? After Kazuma-san spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish up in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this kind while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea! The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Right, so what do we need to do now? That was done, that was done. The table. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this boat had been firmly closed. It's quite a small boat, but not particularly sturdy, and just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, so they seal together perfectly. There will be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. Or you could use a magnet. As he glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? Wasn't there before, was he? So I thought. But then we tried talking to him. Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. Is something wrong, Naruto-san? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. Can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, You're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? Oh, hello! What are you doing here? Oh, hello? I recognize the best, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. He's gonna keep following us forever, is he? Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go under cover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there is anything I can do to help you, please ask. I'm not expected to see this man on board. Perhaps his presence here can help me out of this hopeless situation. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. Huh? This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister Justice Jikoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How? How could that even be a possibility? I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jikoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated. Obviously, we couldn't keep Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board. From morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here inside his own cabin. Not here on the first class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I am a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all that I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma-san's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry, what? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. We moved to even touch the hand of the cabin door. The stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now, they think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had solid reasoning why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I can to persuade the captain to allow it, really. I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence. It's just the same when you're in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Do, 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 do. Right, put it back and now present. What is that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-san wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me, the ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right, so if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes. As long as you don't leave the first class cabin area, I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's see some moment then, Naruto-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move? Alright, let's see what we can find out. (9th January, 7:48 a.m. SS Beria, first class cabin, passageway. Whew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. There's less spaces out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-san was being sent on the study tour with the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in Steelitz. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and it looks enormous if you're sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second class of the accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Naruto-san, you look like a little boy who's visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. Ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Right, examine... There's a huge book on top of the table there. There's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the boys has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such a beautiful handwriting. And nothing, no reaction at all. Thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruto-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably, that means there's nothing to report. This looks like a plan of the SS Beria. So sees deck, look. The Beria is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering! Well, this is during the 1890s, so it's like... It's not during like the 1900s or the 1910s yet, where it's like, you know, it had multiple decks. How is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruto-san. It is? Well, considering the Japanese archipelago, the islands of Japan, yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Right, let's check the left. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Wow, what a sophisticated system that did not exist or was like, you know, that sophisticated in the 1890s. At most, it would set the alarm ringing in that area, not the entire ship. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing, Naruto? You mustn't touch it. But it's an emergency situation. Just look at his handcuffs. You know full well that's what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Ah, I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you had to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. I see something on the floor. Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, you have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called, cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruto-san. The trap was not shut on your fingers. Really, but I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Cosmo's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin, it's Cosmo's house, sorry. Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest in the ship. My own cabin in Steers is number 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? I imagine it's just like, you know, a handful of first class cabins. A dozen or so second class, and then pretty much like, you know, 500 plus or so like, you know, third class. Maybe because they were used for immigration. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Cosmo wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, excuse me, we need to get inside this cabin here. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put on the wardrobe doors. Though this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like it's going to let us pass. That's a problem. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid? Oh, you seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior crewman, Beef Stroganoff. Oh, you fucker! For those who don't know, beef stroganoff is a dish that usually is like, again, it's in the name. It involves beef. It's like beef bourguignon but in a Russian version. Whew. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first class cabin area. Here we are in the finest part of Burya steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That's why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Sogi's currently occupied? Da! Sato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like ja. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next door to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now and I've been in Casper's cabin the entire time, I never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably since this gentleman is occupying one of the first class cabins, he must be rather important, is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time? Seaman Stroganoff? Yeah, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Yes! That's Russian for no. It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh, it is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead to second class area is taken locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. That book on top of the table there really is huge. There's a pen with it too. So I have a little look through it. We've done this already. mean, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. No, we done this already. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. I'm about to break this door down. Mr. Holmes. I shan't be stopped. When the pit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. Waka! Please, wait, it's Holmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Oh, hello. Who are you? A Western gentleman. This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Sherlock Holmes. You've heard of me, no doubt? No. I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be able to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it is quite passable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk? Don't look at me. Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now, otherwise I'll call the steward. So this is Cosmo's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. There's no doubt about it, this strange Russian man is hiding something. Kunta Grimaud. Let's see if we can find some clues where the burly sailor returns. Mr. Roylott, would you like to talk about something? No. Oh, I do not want to talk. Leave my cabin now. Oh, it's going terribly. Looking in right here. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Holmes? You need only address me as Holmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Holmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage in the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh! It would seem that hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh yes, please. Well then, what you're about to see may astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be more a hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Holmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a categorical mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Oh. And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment nonetheless, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh, Naroda-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Holmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction. Nothing can deceive Mr. Holmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about the person. What? What inevitable twaddle! Oh yes, I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And now I'm experiencing the astounding impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the colors drain from Mr. Roylott's face. Looks like somehow both of Mr. Ho's conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then, I shall elucidate. I'll also explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon your journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The great deduction, the game is afoot. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Right, my camera has now lost battery or lost charge. That is annoying. We'll finish the deduction part and then we'll end it here. Now, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us right in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begs is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals her true identity. Article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. This is pretty much like its typecasting. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are at this very moment on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, once slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can be found in the pages of this newspaper. But there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Noblesse Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlovna. Okay, I'm gonna actually hypothesize my own conclusion. This is not the revolutionary. This is the ballerina in disguise. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma. Elementary. Susata-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Holmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Holmes, could you come over here for a moment? Right, like I said, we're ending it here for now. We'll be continuing this next time. thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again on the next stream, which is on Wednesday. We'll be doing some more Hyrule Warriors probably. Yeah. Anyways, see you all next time.